Tonight on CTV, Native American Heritage Month is celebrated in the Laurie Student Center.
Then we get in the Thanksgiving spirit with an interfaith Friendsgiving.
And later we recap the results of Colorado's midterm elections.
All this and more starting right now on CTV. Good evening, Rams, and thanks for joining us on Thursday. I'm Ryan Christ.
And I'm Emma Iannacone. Tonight we bring you new updates to the proposed parking plans at the Foothills Campus. In a recent turn of events, Colorado State University will not be implementing parking fees at the Foothills Campus until July 2020. This comes after nearly 800 people petitioned to stop the university from changing the free lots to permit parking. It was originally announced that permits would be required in August 2019, but that has been delayed another year. This upcoming spring, there will still be improvements to the lots, which are mostly dirt and lack proper drainage and lighting. Several concerns were mentioned in the petitions, which you can read on collegian.com.
The presidential ambassadors were in the rec center today offering prizes and raising awareness about Gratitude Week. Tomorrow marks the end of Gratitude Week, which is dedicated to celebrating the positive impact of giving back to the CSU community. Hosted by the CSU Presidential Ambassadors, this week is meant to give thanks to all the donors who help to improve our campus and ensure university success for the future.
In an effort to keep student fees low, the Associated Students of CSU discussed a resolution that would take advantage of existing funds and decrease carryover money from one administration to the next. The resolution asks the ASCSU not to request extra student fees if they haven't spent that amount the previous year. Ethan Burshek, the author of the bill, says that this will lead to either lower student fees or more responsible spending to better the university. Another resolution was presented in last night's Senate session, which would express to the university game day parking issues, specifically problems caused by the border war, when parking lots were closed early on a Friday. A land acknowledgement bill was also presented last night, which would require Senate to recognize the use of Native American people's land throughout each semester.
With our political climate in America growing more and more polarized, the Fort Collins Interfaith Council believes that communication and acceptance is the way to solve that. And with Thanksgiving just around the corner, the Interfaith Council are taking advantage of this holiday to support this communication.
Good food, happy people, and intercultural communication was all found at this year's Friendsgiving, where over 200 people representing more than 11 religious beliefs came together. While it is a little early for Thanksgiving, the timing couldn't be more perfect.
Well, we'd like to have it on this day because it's the day after the election. And we need a little bit more unity in our community on this day. And so we always have Interfaith Friendsgiving on the day after a midterm or a major election. And really we feel that we live in such a polarized climate, and one of the best ways to get over that, to move through that, is to actually know somebody of a different tradition or a different political stripe than you as a human being and a friend, because that's really the only way that we're going to make these bridges work.
This is an annual event, and students typically leave with a better and more well-rounded perspective.
I always leave this event having learned something and having a new part of my faith challenged and reformed. I always end up with a good story to tell or something that really challenges what I believe, and I think that's a great thing to leave an event like this with.
With the amount of diverse people celebrating here today, it requires a diverse menu.
Sure. Well, we like to cook it over at the CSU Hallel House because then it's all done in a kosher kitchen. We cook over 4 days. There are about 35 to 40 different folks that come and volunteer to cook. And we like to do it in that frame because it honors the Jewish and Muslim tradition of being halal or kosher.
And they didn't come together just for the food. They were there for the community.
Friendsgiving is open to anyone who wants to come, and each year they're adding more to their menu, from vegetarian options to more traditional meals.
In honor of Native American History Month, the Aspen Grill and the Native American Cultural Center partnered together to create a 3-course meal with indigenous North American ingredients. This special menu was offered yesterday and today in the Aspen Grill and included pumpkin soup, quail, wild rice, and corn. This annual celebration changes its menu every year to reflect the variety in Native American foods. Restaurant operations instructor Josh Olson says it's the busiest 2 days of the year.
It's just a great opportunity for us to, again, collaborate with the Native American Cultural Center, as well as just show our students a different type of cuisine.
A harvest dinner will take place on Tuesday, where indigenous food grown at the Arikara farm will be served. You can find more information about the harvest dinner and other Native American History Month celebrations on the NACC website.
Students always love free stuff, and one local coffee shop was offering free coffee all day during their grand opening. This new local drive-through coffee shop is creating a buzz in Fort Collins.
This area of town is a little bit sparsely populated at this moment, but it's growing huge. The next 5 years, we're going to triple the population out here, so we're excited to be a part of that growing demographic.
I've always loved Ziggy's. There's one right by my parents' house that I've been going to for a while, and then when I saw that they were opening a new one in Fort Collins, I was really excited because I think they have great coffee.
With the Mile High Peanut Butter Crunch being one of the most popular drinks on their menu, Ziggy's opened their windows to the community last month.
Everybody around here, all of the locals and regulars, really seem to be very excited that we're here. It is a little bit of a venture out here for CSU students, but I just recommend that you come give us a try.
CTV 11, Sunday Miller.
If you're in need of a caffeine kick, you can find Ziggy's Coffee in South Fort Collins near the intersection of College and Trilby.
Well, Ryan, you know, election season is officially over.
Yes, thank goodness. I was tired of some of those ads.
Oh, I know. I think we all were. But what's interesting about Colorado is we had quite a few historic events happen in the election season. For example, Jared Polis was elected as the first openly gay governor in America. And then we also had quite a bit of turnout in Colorado. It was actually the highest in the country.
Yeah, and that's no surprise. I mean, here on campus, we had tons of people advertising, you know, have you voted yet? Have you voted yet? And of course, I think that really helped with some of the turnout here in Colorado because millennials, as we know, are typically the ones who don't come out to vote.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Well, right now we have Edgar Cedillo, a political expert, with all the results of the elections across Colorado.
That's right, Emma and Ryan. Election season is finally over, and we expected that blue wave to hit throughout the country, but it didn't seem to amount to much. But here in Colorado, it looks like it turned out to be a blue avalanche. Democrats took a huge win on Tuesday night. Covering your governor's race, Jared Polis won the race with 52.3% of the vote to Walker Stapleton's 44.1%. That's Jared Polis managed to get a little over 1 million votes throughout the state. Taking a look at the state, he managed to flip a couple counties out west and a couple counties down south, though he did manage to get a strong Democratic base here in the west and then throughout the Front Range. And then Walker Stapleton did manage to still win the Eastern Plains and then the extreme west. Taking a look at the Attorney General's race between Phil Weiser and George Brockler, Phil Weiser managed to get 49.9% of the vote. The race was called pretty late last night. And George Brockler conceded on Wednesday morning with 47.7% of the vote. Taking a look at the Secretary of State's race between Wayne Williams and Jenna Griswold, she was kind of the surprise win. She managed to get 51.1% of the vote to Williams's 46.5%. Looking at the Treasurer's race between Republican Brian Watson, we made a mistake. Dave Young is actually the Democrat who managed to win in the state. Looking at the elections throughout the state, here's the makeup of the races. Jared Polis, Phil Weiser, Jenna Griswold, and Dave Young. All Democrats will be leading the state. They all are going to be led by a democratically controlled Senate and House throughout Colorado. District 6 between Mike Kaufman and Jason Crow. This one was called somewhat early on Tuesday night. Jason Crow got 53.4% of the vote. He did manage to flip District 6, which means 4 Democratic representation in the House at the U.S. with 3 Republicans throughout the state. So as you can see, the Eastern Plains, Colorado Springs, and Western Colorado are all led by Republicans, whereas Central Colorado, Fort Collins area, Denver, and Boulder are all going to be led by Democrats. Locally, we did have Peter Yu and Jonah Guse, the race here in District 2 in Fort Collins. Jonah Guse got nearly 60% of the vote, beating out Peter Yu, who got just shy over 30%. Peter Yu did manage to win Grand County and portions of Park County, but as you can see, this district was dominated by the Democrats, with Boulder, Summit, and Eagle County out west voting hugely in favor of Jonah Guse. He does, and then going into the amendments and all the propositions that passed, Amendment A did remove the mention of slavery from the Constitution. Excuse us for the putting of Proposition 112. That actually did fail on Tuesday. Going into all the amendments and propositions that failed, Amendment 1A in Larimer County that funded mental health did actually pass, so pardon us for that mistake. And then Amendment 73, which was to raise taxes for education funding, managed to fail, as well as all the propositions 109 and 110, which were seeking to fund transportation throughout the state. Going to the Larimer County races, Angela Myers and Irene Dosey were the incumbents, and they still retain their seats as clerk and recorder. John Cafalis, who was running for District 1 commissioner, he was the one who beat out Sean Doherty, so he will be leading Fort Collins, the section north, in Larimer County for the next 4 years. Well, that's all we have for the election coverage. Stay tuned with Carson Porterfield as he brings you the weather.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream.